Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Season 3, Episode 9 of the phenomenon known to all as Saturday afternoon's main event. Of course, you may be asking, why in the world am I so down? Well, let me just go ahead and put it this way. About 24 hours ago, I woke up to the thought of having to see Adam Cole win the AEW World title. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? It didn't happen! How amazing is that? It's sarcasm. Deal with it. But the fact of the matter is this. If you don't know who I am, and you're not looking down below to go ahead and look at the name above the ticker, I suggest you go back to school, pick up a dictionary, and look me up under the word phenomenal. Yes, it is me, the phenomenal one, and I am here joined by my co-host, who is the limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, son of a gun who is not having a hard time holding his alligators down. Now give me 2 claps and a peep snatch.
Woo! Yes, I am here. I am here with my partner once again. Another episode of Saturday afternoon's main event. And by the way, I had to show off an old in the mothball shirt that I haven't worn in quite some time. Remember when Ring of Honor used to do the Field of Honor at Coney Island?
Exactly.
And right. August of 2015, I went and got a shirt. I took a whole bunch of pictures, had fun. So I figured I'll dig up in the mothballs and wear this for the show. Oh, and speaking of digging up the mothballs, I didn't forget last week of what you said before. So I decided to bring Goldie here with me today.
You know we don't miss out on Goldie. Come on now, peace. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you already know what's up. Come on, Goldie had to go ahead and come out just to go ahead and spend some time with us here on Saturday afternoon's main event. Respectively, yes, the Peeps Nate has his, I have mine.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I don't think you can see me, can you?
It's glistening. It's glistening. It's radiant. Yes. Radiant. That's the thing about these belts. I kid you not.
I had to bring Goldie. I had to make sure that Goldie made an appearance. This particular belt I got at WrestleMania 20, which I've talked about before in the past.
Of course.
So this particular belt is now going on years. So yes, we're talking
18
like
years, man.
18 years. And it's still shining. And there you go.
There you go. Might as well just go ahead and put a woo out for that one, huh?
Woo! There you go.
Exactly right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, of course, today on S.A.M.E, we have a packed show for you guys. A lot of things going on in the world of professional wrestling. But it wouldn't be that without going ahead and getting into Fast Track. Now, for anybody that is really relevant to knowing that we like to go ahead and talk about wrestling news, and we spend a lot of time trying to go ahead and get on it, you would know that we usually spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours off wrestling news. We're trying to limit that. That is why Fast Track is implemented into S.A.M.E. That way we can go ahead and get to most news in least time as possible. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the first topic. And the first topic is great because WWE is returning to UK for a pay-per-view in the fall. Judging by Peep's face, he really pulled a Macaulay Culkin. But the fact of the matter is this. After nearly 30 plus years.
Good grief, has it been that long? Wow.
Yes. SummerSlam 1992, I believe, right?
Oh, yes.
Going on 30 plus years, WWE is going to have a pay-per-view in the UK at Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. Peeps, how crazy is this?
That is big. I remember when I ordered SummerSlam when they used to call them pay-per-views. We're going to start to sound like, remember when they used to call them pay-per-views? Now everything is a premium live event. I remember that SummerSlam, even though the main event was supposed to be the Ultimate Warrior versus Randy Savage for the WWF Championship. But because it was in England, they made that the co-main event, says the real main event was the British Bulldog versus Bret Hart for the Intercontinental Championship, which was by far the best match of the entire show. Definitely. The fact remains that the WWE has wanted to go into Europe especially England, for a pay-per-view for a couple of years, but obviously COVID kind of derailed that. I think that this is the time, if they're able to make sure that there aren't any travel issues and they can make sure that they can do this safely, they could get a pretty big amount of fans there in attendance. And although we know that the ticket sales in the WWE in America haven't been the greatest, if they go to do a pay-per-view overseas in Europe, England, wherever, they're going to get a pretty decent house. And I would be remiss to say that they are definitely going to have a big house if they can get this thing going in England.
I mean, in UK, it's already said that almost 59,000 people have already signed up to go ahead and get ticket updates for this show. Me being one of them, and I'm not even in the UK. I mean, that tells you enough. I mean, I want to go ahead and see how this pans out, but it's UK. But Peace,
I hope they come up with a better name.
Watch it be WrestleMania Wales.
Yeah.
Golly.
Oh yeah.
Let's not say that. Let's not put that into the atmosphere. But
the SummerSlam Showdown or some goofy name.
Exactly.
They'll come up with something.
Or what is it? Carnage in UK?
Oh,
another Carnage tour? Why not?
Yeah. Well, remember,
or Insurrection.
Well, the WWE did a pay-per-view in Japan for the WWE Network with Brock Lesnar's return called Beast in the East. So we'll see if they come up with something better than those. At least it's not Great Balls of Fire.
Pray to God not. But Peace, speaking back on WrestleMania, what are the odds of hopefully probably seeing WrestleMania take place in Wembley?
I don't think it will happen anytime soon, just because of the logistics of the time. Because if you're gonna do a WrestleMania live from, say, Wembley Stadium in England, wherever that would be the case, and you're figuring it's 6 to 8 hours, it's a 6-hour difference from the Eastern Standard Time to Greenwich Mean Time in England. So you would have to worry about, well, are we going to do it live? And if we don't do it live, then the results might get out, which might spoil certain things and wrestle. So it's something that can be done. And maybe because of the fact that it would be 6 hours ahead of time, you would be able to do, if they do a 2-day WrestleMania, do it earlier in the day, which would actually benefit people here in the United States, instead of it being at 7, 8 o'clock and then going into maybe 11, 12 o'clock. So maybe there's a logistics there that would work here and in the UK. So we'll see what they do.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. But moving from WWE, we go into the world of AEW, where they have a new signee. Jonathan Gresham, Ring of Honor World Champion, has officially signed with AEW. Peeps, where does this land for the man?
This is very good, because Jonathan Gresham is one of the best wrestlers in the world, as evidenced by the fact that he's Ring of Honor World Champion. And he won that championship at the last Ring of Honor pay-per-view that was not run by Tony Khan. So knowing that he is the world champion and knowing that he has cachet as a champion, I think going forward, we're going to see a lot more of these signings with the parent company AEW, and then knowing that Ring of Honor is under the umbrella of Tony Khan and being owned by him. As long as they can run it separately without too much of it being, well, this guy is going to wrestle on AEW TV. Well, this guy from AEW is going to wrestle on Ring of Honor TV, and have the shows separately run the way that we think that they should. This is a win-win situation. So you're going to probably end up hearing more people from Ring of Honor being signed to AEW and then potentially showing up on AEW television within the next month or so, as they kind of give you a feel for those that have not seen a Ring of Honor match or Ring of Honor wrestling in a while. See how that goes from there.
Got you. Well, from there, we move back to WWE and we go into... something, let me just go ahead and bring the belt out for that one. The Tribal Chief Roman Reigns, and the plans are that Vince actually wants to keep both of the Goldies on him till next year's WrestleMania. Of course, Peeps has to go ahead and bring Goldie out for this one too. And we'll instantly go ahead and talk about this one, because due to the fact that we're both somewhat, a tag team and it kind of counts as being double champs, we have a say in this. So, Peeps, what are your thoughts on this?
I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. The WWE has painted themselves into a corner that they're going to have an issue with. Now, personally, this is just from me. I don't have a problem with Roman Reigns being champion for 2 years, a 3-year title reign, because we don't see that in the WWE. The longest reigns we will get 6 months to a year, because usually those belts are interchangeable. They're like taking off fingernails and then putting something else on afterwards. I don't like the color of this nail. I'll just paint it something different. They've been trying over the last couple of years to try to bring importance to the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship. Now it's the Universal WWE Alpha Omega Supreme Championship belt now. I don't know if they're going to come out with an Omega sign on it or a Delta sign or a Beta sign or whatever championship they decide to roll out if they put it in one championship. But basically, what they run the risk of, and this is something that's going to really be a problem, is overexposing Roman Reigns if they decide to bring him back on both shows. If they put him on Raw, then they put him on SmackDown. And literally what has been happening, I don't know if Roman is hurt from WrestleMania. We really still don't know that. But I think what they're basically doing is using Roman as a walking advertisement for SmackDown. And that's going to get old very quick. And for those that looked at SmackDown last night, saw Roman wasn't even on the show. They mentioned him, but Roman really wasn't on the show and wasn't prominently shown or talked about outside of who's the tribal chief. We already know. Please acknowledge him, et cetera, et cetera. What we're going to see now is a problem with how they're going to book him, and just to make sure that if they book him the right way, they book him in a way that is not overkill. Because you can take a great talent with a lot of great forward momentum, and then you can pile drive that right into the turf. So we don't want to see that happen.
Exactly right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see, right?
Yes.
And moving into the last piece of news for Fast Track, let me just go ahead and say this. I don't care about Veer Mahaan. I really do not care. Peeps, we got to see the man go ahead and show up on the first Raw after WrestleMania. He destroys Dominic and Rey Mysterio. Then the next week, lands the man in a hospital bed. Okay, yes. Perfectly regular gimmick to go ahead and book somebody as some total monster. Let me see. Where have I seen this before? Lars Sullivan, released. Snitsky, not even a main eventer. You got any other names?
There's way too many, but I'm going to leave it since we're an hour and change show. We'll be here too long. Exactly. But
exactly.
The majority of monster heels that have been built by just coming out and destroying somebody, and then all of a sudden Vince has kind of got tired of playing with the new shiny toy and moved to the next new shiny toy. Let's see what they do here, because let's really be honest, they've been building Veer for the better part of 8 months with vignettes. Oh, look at what he's going to do. Okay, I see it, but what is he actually going to do? Oh, well, we brought him on here.
Veer is coming.
Yes, Veer has veered to the left. Oh, Veer has veered to the right. Now Veer is finally here, and nobody cares. And that's the problem that you run. So I'm going to put Goldie down for a quick second and literally say that what they've been doing to try to build Veer, it's good as a good start, but the problem is this going to really make a dent in this giant wave of wrestlers that they have and trying to build a guy, establish him? Is he going to be part of a faction? Is he just going to be him? Is he going to be a bulldozer? Or is he just going to be a jobber to the stars at some point? We don't know. We'll find out, but I don't think really anyone cares at this point as far as what Veer has done.
You're not wrong. Peeps, you're not wrong, and many other wrestling fans aren't wrong either. But ladies and gentlemen, enough about Veer Mahaan. That is the end of Fast Track, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, you want to go ahead and follow up for more news updates, especially in the world of professional wrestling, peeps, you can go ahead and, yes, there you go, just point right down to it. Follow us on Instagram at Saturday Afternoons_main event, or on Twitter at Saturday Main. Now, here's the thing. I played the Undisputed Era theme because why not? You know, it's the Undisputed Era theme.
Yes.
I show up today, had Goldie ready, significance to the fact that somehow, some way, with a smile on my face, I could have sworn that we were going to have a new champion. And we would have witnessed the rebirth of Adam Cole. But instead of that, peeps, before I go ahead and get into the story on this, happy belated Good Friday, you know? Of course, It's a day of reflection, day of somber remembrance, but of course, you go ahead and you sit there, you're like, oh, it was Good Friday. But on top of that, it was a Friday for Rampage. And what better way to go ahead and have a Friday on Rampage than have the AEW World title on the line, in which you had Hangman Adam Page, the champion, go up against the challenger, Adam Cole, in a Texas death match.
Baby.
How fitting. There you go.
Yes.
But peeps, how crazy is this? Because what I'm about to go ahead and show up on the screen is just straight up blasphemous, but funny at the same time. Peeps, we got this moment.
Oh, yes.
Okay, let's put it this way. If I'm correct, the last time I saw something close to this picture had to be in Extreme Championship Wrestling, which was then owned by Paul Heyman. And the people that were involved in that segment itself were, let me see if I stand correct, Raven and Sandman, right?
Correct.
So, in that segment itself, it was Sandman having this whole troubadour with Raven, in which family was involved, things got personal, and you felt as if you had some pity for Sandman, a beer-bashing, beer-swelling counterpart to Stone Cold Steve Austin in the world of ECW. And you had pity for the man. But the moment that happened, where Sandman actually gets crucified on a piece of wood by the Blue World Order, and then has a crown made out of barbed wire placed on his head.
Yes.
And if I'm not mistaken, Kurt Angle was at that taping.
Yes.
And he was close to being signed with the company at that time too.
Correct.
And upon looking at that, he fled and chose not to go due to religious reasons.
As a matter of fact, Kurt Angle specifically told Paul Heyman, if you ever show the likeness of me on that show, you will hear from my lawyers in the next day. That's how upset Kurt Angle was at that.
Okay. Fast forward 20 plus years. We finally get to see something close to this. And by far, listen, the match, solid. Everything, good to go. But I decided to go ahead and title this topic of the show, Adam Cole died for your sins. How blasphemous, right? How crazy to think that after 20 plus years and in a world today where things can really get personal and offensive real quick, that Tony Khan decides to go ahead and pull a page out of Paul Heyman's book and allow this to go on national television.
Yes.
Peeps, give me your insight on how you thought this match went and up until this last segment.
Especially, like you just stated, on Good Friday. For those that are religious, kind of looked at the iconography of this and said, whoa, that's really going far out there.
Haywire, exactly.
Yes. There were some parts of this match that were really good. There were some parts of the match that started off really slow, kind of like a feeling out process. There was a little bit of trepidation to some degree. I liked the way from the middle to the end of the match happened. It was booked okay, and was a lot of violence involved, but there was some bleeding on Cole's part, where he hit a chair head first, and then Page, who got super kicked in the throat, and he started bleeding from the chin and the neck. So there was blood. WWE, knock knock.
Oh, and one good thing about this whole thing.
Yes.
No thumbtacks.
There's the other point I was just about to bring up. We got barbed wire. We got chairs. We got a kind of table. We got belts. There was a spot in the match where Adam Page took off his belt and was going to tie. He tied Adam Cole to the top rope, and he was going to literally take him out with the chair. and he changed his mind and said, "No, I can't do this," and stooped to his level. So he threw the chair down, untied him, and what ended up happening? Adam Cole hit him with the Ric Flair uppercut right in the
Low
yam bag.
blow, right in the kisser. Oh
Right in the
gosh.
yam bag. And that was kind of where they've been developing Page, is that Page is kind of, he's at the border of crossing into the depths of where Cole is, where he will do anything to win, but at the same time he doesn't want to kind of tick off his own, not only his fans, but also he doesn't want to not be true to himself within
Exactly.
his character. So he went and still went there. And I thought it was funny that he decided not to use the chair and thought otherwise, but thought it was perfectly fine to use the barbed wire, put it on his opponent's head, and then give him a dead eye off the apron through the table. So I guess he flipped the coin on his morality in this match and decided, oh, the hell with it. Let's just go ahead and do it. But yes, it was good. It was a Texas death match, so you literally had no pinfalls, no submissions. The first person to get up while the opponent is down and it counts to 10, it's out. This was actually a pretty good match, and the finish was good in this sense. Although Cole lost, Cole looked strong because he was knocked senseless, and it didn't make him look weak at all. But at the same time, and both of us have talked about this before, where does this leave Cole? Because now we're talking 2 championship matches with all that momentum that they initially misused him when he first got into the company in the goofy tag matches with the Young Bucks and some of the other stuff. And they decided to finally get him and the Undisputed Era into some feuds. And we even saw a couple weeks ago when they stole the belts off of the Jurassic Express and the belt from Adam Page, and they literally mocked everybody holding the belts, etc. Great optics. It looked great in the camera. But now that they've lost, where does that leave them? And I hope this kind of leads Cole towards a TNT championship at some point, because Cole, this is going to be my campaign until it happens. Cole needs gold. There's your hashtag if you want to put it on Twitter. Cole needs gold. There you go.
We need that. Exactly right, peeps. I mean, to me...
But until then, no gold for you.
Yeah, we'll have gold. Sadly, unfortunately, I have gold while Adam Cole doesn't. That's sad.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
we should be basking into it.
Yes.
All together. Like it's sad.
Yes.
It's not, but there's still Double or Nothing, and I'm not completely sold on this being the end to it. Okay.
5 weeks. We got 5 weeks between now and Double or Nothing. So let's see what they do then.
So 5 weeks from now, it's not like they're gonna go ahead and easily say, okay, CM Punk is gonna go ahead and now go up for the title, or MJF, out of the ordinary. To me, I still think that there's a shot that Adam Cole is going to take the title off Hangman. Why? Because, okay, first match, cool little regular match. Second match, death match, we see how that ended. But the fact of the matter is that he didn't pin Cole this time. So, for the next 5 weeks, I see a lot of things in the works for a mega match for the AEW World title at Double or Nothing. And how that will end, please, once again, because I predicted this last week and it ended up not being correct.
Yes.
I once again do feel that Adam Cole is closing the show with the AEW World title. It just makes sense. Peeps.
Yes.
Twice already, he's dropped the beans. Tony Khan, still, look, I understand. The booking for this match, it still seemed good. But this isn't the Hangman Adam Page that we got walking out of Ring of Honor and walking into AEW. This isn't the same Hangman Adam Page. But on the contrary, you make Adam Cole whatever Adam Cole gives you. Adam Cole, since coming into the company, has been that snazzy little brat that you can't seem to go ahead and take up off you. Cole fits the description of what you need to build up that title. Cole has the precise element that you need in a heel. Cole has the agility of a champion. Not saying that Hangman doesn't have that, but what they're doing with Hangman Adam Page is not what you want for business. I myself see far more t-shirt sales, many more better Nielsen ratings for TNT if you put the title on that man that is unfortunately having a crown of barbed wire on top of his head. You put him alongside Red Dragon, who may hopefully hold the tag titles together, and maybe in the next coming months bring back Kenny Omega, and you have feuds with the Young Bucks and Omega alongside Red Dragon and Adam Cole. You're good for the next couple of months, to be exact. But it all starts with planting the seeds and making Adam Cole champion.
Yes.
I myself cannot begin to fathom how many times I look up on television, hear the theme song, hear the fans chant Cowboy Sugar Honey Iced Tea, but still end up getting the same little Hangman Adam Page that we've been getting since he returned. I can't deal with it. This should, because the way that they booked it, peeps, I could have sworn, like the minute I walked in and started watching AEW, I saw Hangman Adam Page as a cross between Stone Cold and Michael Hayes due to the fact of his hair. But listen, he fits the description of a badass. The dude has charisma. The dude has it all. So there is a really big shot of being able to go ahead and shoot him up into the stratosphere.
Yes.
Why isn't it happening? God knows why. But if you're not going to do it right, I suggest you go ahead and just drop the title to the next person that may actually do something with it.
And this is where my small miniature rant begins on AEW as far as how they've completely booked this.
Let me get my Street Profits red cup, and you can begin.
Okay. I've been saying this. This has been a recurring theme that you've heard me even off air. We've texted each other, talked about this before.
Of course.
AEW has done, and I'm going to use the exact words that I told you, a piss poor job of defending and building Adam Page as your world heavyweight wrestling champion. This is the man they built a storyline of his ascension to this world championship for almost a year and a half, close to 2 years of letting to say, well, this is going to be the case of him potentially winning the world championship. Didn't quite do it against Jericho the first time. Well, we're going to find out how that happens. So instead, let's team him up with Kenny Omega, and they win the tag team championships. They built that whole storyline of the self-doubt and the dissension and what was going to happen. And then, of course, Omega turned on him. And then the feud that they had with each other. And then, of course, Omega winning the championship. And then Page, oh no, I got doubts. I don't know what's going to happen. You're not good enough, et cetera, et cetera. He takes time off. He comes back bigger and better than ever. The fans are behind him. And you took that momentum, knowing that he was going to be a world champion. You knew that that was going to be the end of that storyline, where he was going to cash in his chips and win that championship. And he did. The build to him winning the championship was perfect. The build after him, not so much. And this is the quote that I told you, and I've told a couple of other people. The problem with AEW, especially with how they built Adam Page, is that when somebody is a champ, you don't build the champ as a mid-carder. You build the mid-carder as the champ. And that's not a slight on Adam Page, because he's definitely not a mid-carder. But you understand where I'm coming from. Usually, anytime somebody wins the world championship, no matter where they were booked in the card, you book and elevate that wrestler as the person that is slotted to be the world champion. So, for instance, I'm just going to throw a name out. Let's say Daniel Garcia wins the world championship in AEW, which I know will never happen. But I'm just saying, let's say Daniel Garcia, who is in the tag team lower mid card, somehow miraculously wins the world championship. Are you going to book the world champion as the same mid carder that you've had earlier on in the year, or not?
Of course not.
So let's see what happens. I actually got to go to the door. Let me find out 1 second.
You're good, peeps. You're good.
Yes.
But from here, I'll just go ahead and give the closing thoughts of this, and we'll go ahead and get into the second half after. But truth be told, here's how I see it. Ladies and gentlemen, the match, to my left, up to par. The segments, good. The spots, great. Dissecting the fact that I myself am a reborn Christian, and seeing this kind of was somewhat of a little slap in the face, but still kind of a good laugh to go ahead and get off of. But still, it's Good Friday. Hard to say. Lord have mercy on my soul. But listen, when it's all said and done, in 5 weeks, Adam Cole has to be world champion. You can disagree with me. You can shout with me. You can go ahead and listen. You can text me anything you have to text me on Saturday afternoons _main event in the DMs. I do not mind. But listen, hey man, Adam Page gotta go. Can't be champion. I'm sorry. To me, it's done for. I just can't see it. But listen, without further ado, this is the end of the first half of Saturday afternoon's main event. After that 30-second timer goes out, we will go ahead and come back, and we will be getting into our questions with the final topic of the show. And that final topic is exactly this: GCW plus WWE equals what's best for business. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere, because the second half of Saturday afternoon's main event will be right back. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as said, we would be back. 30 seconds turned into 5 minutes. We cooling though. We cooling.
Yes.
It's okay. Listen, you're
Yes.
still here. Watching Sam with us. Welcome back to the second half of Saturday afternoon's main event. And peeps, guess what? You came back just in time for the question. So
Okay.
we're good. Let's get ready to this. Okay.
My favorite segment of the show with these questions. So let's hear what they got to say.
Exactly right. And the first one comes from your arch nemesis, Hot Rod 316. He says, "What are your thoughts on Roman possibly holding the title through next year's Mania? Also, do you care much for that possible future dream match with The Rock?"
I'll tell you this. I don't have a problem with Roman holding on to for another, we're talking a year now. So you figure he's already been champ a year and a half by now because he won it at SummerSlam last year.
Yes.
Figuring holding on to it now over a year and a half afterwards and then going in, say, a year after that, I would dare to say that Vince wants to have this as a record, a big record of him holding on to that championship for quite some time. So is that going to be a problem? I personally don't think so, unless they make sure that they keep this thing fresh. Because if the fans go in knowing that Roman isn't going to lose, and it's not even going to be believable that he may actually lose, then you may have a problem. That's what the issue may be. As far as me caring about the match with The Rock, there's only going to be one problem with that. The Rock is not even a full-time wrestler anymore. And the same resentment that a lot of people have for Brock may potentially go along with The Rock. But anything The Rock does, he touches, it turns to gold. So let's see what happens from there.
True. Exactly right. I feel the same way. So, Hot Rod, not bad for a question. I could have sworn he could have, came at us with something stupid. But respectfully, Hot Rod, you're good to go, man. You're free
don't
from
get him started. He might come back with another one.
Let's get ready to see what he comes back with. Because truth be
Yes.
told, I could have sworn something would have been out of proportions. But good job,
Yes.
Hot Rod. You succeeded at your first task. Next question comes from Doctor of Thugonomics, and he says, "Hopefully there are travel packages for that Cardiff show. I don't go out of the state for what it is, for what it already is." Listen, bud, wherever you're from, I don't blame you. It's WWE's first show back in UK for, for almost 30 years. I would have done the same thing also. So,
But you're a doctor. You should be able to afford that package. He's a doctor of thugonomics. He should be able to afford
You're
that
not
package.
even wrong.
Anyway. There you go.
Peeps, talk to him.
Yes.
Let him know.
Yes.
Yeah, shoot. Yeah,
Yes.
just let him know. Just let him know.
Strong on him. There you go.
Exactly right. And we're actually getting a live question, shockingly. And it's from another arch nemesis of Hot Rods, the Phenom. How nice.
Yes.
Okay, and he says, should Usos unify the tag titles and hold it until next year's WrestleMania?
No, dear God, no. That's my opinion. But you go ahead and you tell them.
Listen, I wouldn't mind seeing them unify the tag titles because I'm actually waiting for RK Bro to dismantle and seeing that feud going up, because now we see that if Riddle turns on Randy, then of course Randy's a definite face, which is shocking because Randy's always a heel. So
Yes.
to see how that storyline may go may be fun. So I'm okay if the Usos unify the tag titles. Holding on to it until next year's Mania, though, kind of don't fit in my book. And the reason why is because I'd rather see Roman hold on to it, because now if Roman holds on to both titles until next year's WrestleMania and the Usos somehow lose it, he will still belittle the Usos. The Usos will not look at them, Roman as equals. We have double Listen, the minute they get those titles, I see them losing it a couple of months later to probably the Street Profits or something. These guys are not holding on to the titles. They'll unify them. They're not holding on to it, though. I can't see that in my book.
This is where we're at right now. There are really not as many tag teams in the WWE as there should be.
Yeah.
Street Profits. You have Gable and Otis, and a couple of other teams, and that's roughly it. The Usos have already had those belts almost a year already, and you're gonna say that They're going to hold on to those belts until next WrestleMania against who? Now, see, part of the problem is that when you do that and you have belts on everybody, and you're going to have them tour back and forth between Raw and SmackDown, you're going to literally do the same thing that they're doing with Roman, and you're going to basically make the fans get tired of this. There's no variety involved, and if you're going to have them literally look like the main event mafia, if you understand where I'm coming from Impact, that's basically what they're going to look like. The presentation is everybody's going to have belts. What is that going to do with any of the other championships, which are almost meaningless? The U.S. title belt has already been rendered meaningless, even though I am so glad that they are pushing the people that have those belts to some degree. The IC championship with Ricochet, they're pushing him to some degree. But let's really be honest, to show you what they really care about, both of those single secondary championships that are supposed to have all this lineage, they weren't defended, nor were the wrestlers on the WrestleMania card. So that should tell you something.
Yes.
Going forward, they need to be able to do something with those championships, make sure that they mean something again. And if they're going to go this route, then those are going to have to be belts that they put some sort of attention to on each show, SmackDown and on Raw. Because if they don't, then they're just meaningless baubles.
Would be funny if they go ahead and they just make Roman Reigns the next Kenny Omega and hold on to both Intercontinental and United States title. But let's not go ahead and shoot that into the atmosphere.
Look like the main event mafia, but I digress.
That's the first one.
There's the first one. There's your first one.
Amen. Well, the Phenom still has another question, and he says this. I still feel they need Naomi in the bloodline. In other words, a woman. Listen.
Oh, yeah.
We've been shooting this up since how long? I could have sworn it was going to happen since that feud with Sonya Deville. But now that she's in the tag team and she's a face, I don't see where this is going. I really don't. Like, I could have sworn maybe, Nia Jax was still around. Maybe she could have been a part of the bloodline, but...
You mean to actually turn it into a faction?
With
you mean
family
with
ties.
Actual other wrestlers involved? I'm going to tell you one person... There's one person that comes to mind that I think by the end of this year it will happen, and that's Solo Sikoa, who's been on NXT. We all know, for those that are living under a rock, Solo Sikoa is the younger brother of Jay and Jimmy Uso. So they've been pushing him, and he's even been teasing in his promos that my bloodline runs strong. So if he's going to actually get brought up at some point when they feel comfortable enough to bring him on camera, on the main roster, that'd definitely be a perfect fit to bring in Solo Sikoa and actually turn the nepotism angle into something that works as a faction.
Yes.
And there you go.
But I mean, still, we still need a female in blood. And I mean, Naomi would be a good fit due to the fact that she has ties to the Usos and the bloodline itself by being married.
They've never acknowledged that she's married to one of the Usos on camera. So what would be a perfect thing to do is to bring that up and just, I am an Uso in this bloodline, maybe by marriage, but then again, and then you can go ahead and go off of that. You can riff off of that and see where it goes.
Exactly.
But what do I know?
You're just a 500-pound girl in the room.
There you go.
Well, maybe, just maybe, it's due to the fact that Simone Johnson is a part of the blood. Well, listen, peeps, she is a part of NXT, right? And she's in developmental. Listen, what if, I'm going to shoot this up to the atmosphere right now. What if we actually do get The Rock versus Roman Reigns at next year's WrestleMania, and Simone Johnson comes out, costs her dad the match, and she aligns with Roman Reigns in the bloodline? How crazy, how much of a double cross would that be? I mean, okay, but what do I know? Peeps, you can finish it for me.
Yes. 500-pound gorilla in the room. There you go.
Exactly right. Well, from there we go ahead and we move into the other questions. And we have the next two, and one of them is from HBK Chris 01. And he says, someone get Raven and Sandman to teach both of them jabronis named Adam how to get real heat and tell a compelling story through religion. People must be really uptight about this thing.
Yes. There's a difference between paying homage to something and blatantly plagiarizing something else. I think that that's where some of the fans that are against it are looking. I thought it was well done to a degree. They didn't
Bad
have to
timing.
go there, but yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, you're gonna do that. Just to explain it for those, you're going to put a crown of barbed wire on a wrestler and send him through a table on Good Friday. Wow, I think that's a bit much.
Oh man. How great, man! Like I mean,
Yes.
Tony hit it on the market with this one, but
Yes, yes.
HBK Chris, I agree
Yes.
with you
There you go.
100%.
Very
Someone get
polarizing point in the match, but the
Exactly.
iconography involved was really, really
Yes.
choice, to say the least.
I mean, someone get Raven and Sandman out here real quick, please.
Yes. That's a good question though.
Yes, yes, yes. Next and last one comes from one of my favorites, Tombstone City Adam. He says, watch Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter go to roll the stone back and find Red Dragon telling them that Adam Cole is resurrected tomorrow.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh man, this is this. Oh wow,
That's
this
good.
peeps.
That's the comment of the week.
Peeps, comment of the year. I'll give it that.
Yes,
Tombstone City.
good.
I mean, he's been delivering with the comments, but I mean, this one has very creative, my friend.
Yes.
Very creative.
Yes.
Well,
this is my favorite segment of the show.
There you go, peeps. There you go, peeps. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end to the questions. As I always say, guys, as you can see, we enjoy these things. Keep sending them in. Just down in the DMs at Saturday Afternoons _main event, and we guarantee it will be featured on the next show. Once more, on IG at Saturday Afternoons _main event. And from there, we move into the last topic of the show. Peeps, somehow, some way, I don't get this. You see, I don't get this idea that somehow WWE is the only best promotion. And you see, I'm giving my calling back to CM Punk because, for him being the voice of the voiceless, I decided I need to go ahead and be the voice of the voiceless. And the reason I say this is because we have modern day good wrestling promotions that are underground, but still get enough traction to go ahead and have a fan base. Of course, AEW being one of them. Ring of Honor being one for so long and now being reiterated through the eyes of Tony Khan. Impact, which is still out there for wrestling fans. But then, of course, we get those, but we don't have that modernistic ECW feel. Or do we? You see, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't follow along with professional wrestling as much as we do, there is a faction that is really doing everything that ECW would do back in the mid to late 90s. The name of that company itself, GCW. Now let me tell you something, peeps. If you've watched DCW at least one pay-per-view, you already know that with the lights, the amount of barbed wire, the thumbtacks, the crazy spots, and the fans themselves, that is ECW reincarnate.
Yes.
And from the likes of it, you have those stars that really go ahead and give out that feel of what it used to be back then. Some compare Nick Gage to, somewhere closer to Sandman, Terry Funk, and Sabu, all mixed together.
Although I would compare him a little more to Mr. Pogo. For those that remember way back when, Mr. Pogo, very violent FMW star. For those that remember FMW,
of course,
Atsushi Onita and that violent promotion from the late 90s, early 2000s, but late 90s. It's the same kind of. It's even in FMW, you had really good matches, but you had a whole lot of violence.
Yes.
And this is kind of the same kind of thing when you look at Game Changer Wrestling, GCW, and figure out what they're trying to do. That's kind of the DNA of the company is a little bit of FMW, a little bit of ECW, and then they put that into it, and then they give you a product that, for a lot of people, they really enjoy.
Exactly. And then, of course, with more of the stars, you have a Matt Cardona who can be compared to Shane Douglas for some reason. I mean, it's close. It's close to there. It's close to there. And then you have other stars like Joey Janela, who you can go ahead and compare probably to the innovator of violence in his sense of being compelling to the crowd. All of that ties into what that product is. But here's the thing, peeps. I want you to go ahead and take a look at this because I was shocked myself when I looked at this at my Twitter the day of WrestleMania and I saw this. For most of you that do not know who that is Brett Lauderdale, the owner of GCW. The man has been a wrestling fan for how long? And surprisingly, he was in Dallas for WrestleMania 38. And he goes ahead, and who comes by to his booth to go ahead and say a little quick hello and chat for about 15 minutes? The one and only brat of the company, daughter to the biggest a-hole in professional wrestling, or should I say sports entertainment? Lord, please don't strike me down. Yes, the one, the only Stephanie McMahon. And of course, as you can see by what he said and his comments, he said, my good, close personal friend, Stephanie McMahon, a real pleasure to attend my 9th WrestleMania, LFG. I'll just keep it at that because if I do go ahead and say what I have to say, then we can be, demonetized and maybe copyright strike. Yeah, we don't have time for that because we're a family-based show. Keep that in mind, peeps. Yes, sir. Yes. But, peeps, then rumors began to swirl around. I mean, I read the comments. The comments were funny because they were like, oh, God, please, no. Please don't let this be something that Vince buys into. Those were the rumors started. Now, people are starting to say that WWE may actually be a potential suitor and consumer to Game Changer Wrestling. What are your thoughts on that?
First of all, I'm impressed that looking at Lauderdale, he almost looks like a 15-year-old in that picture. I mean,
dude is young.
You're not
even wrong. Really young. Like, jeez.
Good grief. I mean, it's weird. He looks young and old in the same picture. That's not something you can really accomplish at the same time. He compared to Stephanie as far as stature and with the hat and everything in the picture, he looks really young. But we've kind of seen WWE go into the quote unquote talent exchanges, and it ends up becoming them buying a company. We saw that with Evolve, how they bought Evolve, and then we've seen stars from Evolve end up being folded into the WWE. So we can see that potentially happening. But a company like GCW, which if you remember, Vince McMahon a long time ago used to always rail on these companies that are all about blood and guts and violence and barbed wire. Doesn't make any sense. I can't do this, pal. Those are the kinds of things that he used to rail on. And we used to always hear about backyard wrestling and, as Jim Cornette calls it, garbage wrestling. People going in the ring with thumbtacks and broken glass and light tubes and all the other things that I'm trying to get some of the weapons that are out there that they use, and then I'm remembering right now. This is a family show, the stuff that they use, so that's why I kind of.
Well, I mean,
my brain rebooted for a quick second there.
Well, I mean, cheese graters, for God's sakes.
Yes, I mean, we are long from the days of when ECW, and I was at a couple of ECW shows. One in particular in Staten Island a long time ago, where they would bring Nintendo Entertainment System video games and VCRs and, like you said, cheese graters, frying pans, and
the eras of New Jacks where they would even bring in sinks.
Yes, a staple gun. I mean, fans would just come up with the weirdest stuff, and it's like, this is not, commissioner, athletic commission friendly, is it? But these are the kinds of things that used to happen, and we used to see in the advent of backyard wrestling with the John Zandigs and people doing those kinds of things, and Axel Rotten and Ian Rotten and all of those wrestlers that used to do this kind of stuff, where I have no problem seeing physicality and seeing blood and seeing guts in a
Yes.
match in the context of the match, but not for guts and blood's sake. But GCW has kind of somewhat evolved it a little bit to something different. And to see that the WWE is actually thinking about, although this is a rumor, we don't know anything yet. This is just a rumor. But if they are actually looking into potentially maybe being a partner with them or maybe buying the talent, maybe something to add, this will be interesting in the sense that how would they fold their, if they have a library of matches, how would they fold that into the network, knowing that the network has edited some of the stuff that the WWE already has on its docket? So to bring something like that in, I don't know. It's really weird. That's why I think that it's something I don't see it happening, but I really don't know. I'd have to be a fly on the wall of the discussions between Lauderdale and the McMahons and whatever they plan on coming up with. But they have a compelling audience that wants to see this company succeed. They want to see them continue to go further. But having the WWE behind them, that is kind of like Disney being behind ECW. You understand where I'm coming from? It's weird.
Yeah.
It's a weird marriage, and I don't see it happening, at least not in the way that you or maybe the average fan, especially if you're a GCW fan, would look into. I don't know where this would be going, and I don't even know what they would do with the product if they did it. Now, we've seen in the past, WWE has had some of their stars show up in independent companies over the years and, pop up here or pop up there, that kind of thing. I remember Bret Hart wrestled in a Terry Funk retirement match. I think it was his 80th or 81st retirement match at the time, way back when, that Bret Hart, while he was still working for the WWE, wrestled Terry Funk at a house show that was billed as his retirement match. John Cena showed up at a house show, and Vince McMahon showed up at a house show on another company years ago. So it can happen. I just don't see GCW being bought by the WWE, and I don't know what purpose it would serve unless they decided to get a couple of people from the company as a faction and then use them on their product. I just don't see it happen.
Well, peeps, do I blame you? No, because I'd rather see GCW prosper on its own. As much as they're friends, I have no issue with that. As much as they can probably be, I don't know, would probably want to go ahead and, invest in the GCW by probably, if they're really close personal friends, maybe, invest into the product by going ahead and having them, have better venues, dictate on going ahead and going into bigger arenas to promote bigger shows. I mean, I enjoy the product as much as it already is now, and I don't want to see it change. For any other fans that think the same thing, do I blame you? No, because listen, GCW is what wrestling fans have as an alternative to go ahead and look into the itty gritty stuff that we didn't get to see in Japanese death matches back in the 80s and 90s. Or, sometimes you'd want to go ahead and tune back into watching that one match where Mick Foley lost his ear. Yes. You can't get that except on a VHS tape. So, I mean, you have a modern...
What's a VHS tape? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. I forgot that we have Gen Zs in here. Oh, yes. Man.
Yes, they'll probably look at you as, what's that?
What's a VHS? Yeah.
Is that MVP partner, VHS? Like, come on. Yeah. Trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have a ton of wrestling tapes from way back when our video was around, and Rock and Roll Express stuff and old NWA stuff and all of the old territory things and Global Wrestling Federation and World Class, all of that stuff I watch on a regular basis. And in all reality, a lot of the older stuff is much better than some of the stuff that's out today.
Of course.
And that's not saying a whole lot, considering that we've had some pretty good wrestling, but we've also had some real garbage in
of course. No, I mean, compared to what we had in the in the old days, and I say old days like I'm 40 or something, but the truth is I'm only 19. Listen, I've just been accustomed to a lot of old VHS tapes, ladies and gentlemen, which is what a cassette is. For the Gen
Yes.
Zs that do not know, you can go ahead and go on Google and look up what that is. And then maybe I'll just go ahead and send you a VCR too for the restraint of your
Have
time.
to Google VHS. Oh, good grief! This is
Man,
what we come to.
exactly. Wow, how crazy is that? And to think that they
Yes.
still sell them on Amazon. Jeez.
Yes.
But
Yes.
listen, I've been accustomed to it, and I enjoy what the past was because listen, the fact that I can go back in time and look at the Horsemen in War Games matches
Yes.
and say, listen, these were the times. And then fast forward to my day and age where I was, still swimming around, as a little organism, thinking back to the day that WWE brought towards the fans the infamous, phenomenal Katie Vick. Then bringing it over to 2022 where we have Lacey Evans in a storyline
Oh yeah.
where she gets pregnant by Ric Flair.
Yes.
Then having to go ahead and leave due to the fact that she really did have a kid, which congratulations to her. But now putting her in a storyline where she tells about her troubling past. So, peeps, once again, like, what era is better, in your opinion?
As far as I'm concerned, the era that I identify with the most is the era of Jim Crockett promotion in the territory days, the '80s, from I would say the early '80s going on to like 1992, 93, going through there. It was a decline in the early part of the '90s,
Yes.
but to me, that was the era as far as wrestling goes. That was the great. You got to see how you built a star, promos, building for house shows, the occasional pay-per-view, and then you got the interaction of the fans because not only are you watching it the way wrestling is today, you don't have the amount of heat that wrestlers had back then, where they actually had to fear the fans because they would get the fan under the fans' skin so much that you would have fans that are threatening to, stab and do bodily harm to the talent.
Sergeant
So
Slaughter.
yeah, we've I have heard many things of wrestlers getting attacked by fans and fans throwing things in the ring. And I remember the story of where they did a storyline with Junkyard Dog in Mid South where he was blinded, and Michael Hayes and the Freebirds were the villains. And what ended up happening is the fans, knowing that he was going to be there blindfolded because he couldn't see, one of the wrestlers was about to attack Junkyard Dog. Other fans were going to actually climb over the fence to get at the wrestlers to protect Junkyard Dog. So this is the kind of love that the fans have for wrestling and wrestlers that they really care about in those days as opposed to today.
True.
And the closest heat magnet in this business today that transcends every other company that I have seen since then is MJF. And he is the ultimate heat magnet. And he is 24 years old. He is a savant at getting under your skin and pulling things from the past and then making it relevant. He is perfect.
Exactly. Well, peeps, truth be told, I can't agree with you anymore. And to the fans, I know you can agree also. But the fact of the matter is this. God bless professional wrestling.
Yes.
And I say this all the time, and it makes it more fun to say it now because, listen, we're in a day and age where we get to go ahead and actually look through technology, or should I say the Peacock Network, and look at all the old days, the days where maybe, we can go back to the day that Ric Flair unveiled this, big gold belt on Crockett Television, or the day that you eventually got that title, which was the same night that, I'm going to say the name, but this isn't WWE television, so I'm cool. The day that Chris Benoit went ahead and won that title, and the fact that you got to hold it yourself the same day that he went ahead and won it was probably a moment in time for you.
Yes.
The moments that we have as professional wrestling fans are the ones that live forever. Shout out Cody Rhodes, but I'm not going to go ahead and say that anymore. Yeah. We are in a perfect era where we get to relive it all.
Oh, yeah.
And it couldn't be any better than to go ahead and do it at this certain point in time.
Oh, I'll give you another good memory. I was actually at the Monday Night Raw, if you remember, way back in, I think it was 97 or 98, when Steve Austin destroyed Vince McMahon's white Corvette with the cement. I was actually
you were really
there.
At that one.
I was at that one in the crowd that day. As a matter of fact, when we left, I was with some friends, including the Phenom. We all were there, and as we left, we could see them put the put the Corvette on a tow truck, and as dragging it out, there was cement piling out of the inside of the car. It was hilarious. And now everybody is piling out of the parking lot. Everybody is making wrestling chants left and right. Hell yeah, and DX chops and everything else. It was hilarious. But to actually see that in person and to see the cement where it was and see how they destroyed a $40,000, $50,000 white Corvette, oh, it was crazy. But yeah, those are the memories that wrestling fans will be able to give you that you can't convey if you're at home. If you see something in person, you're going to live with those moments.
Oh, trust me. Yes. Listen, I've just started into the game itself, and I mean to go ahead and attend wrestling events and being able to see some of those people that you've seen and deemed as larger than life or somewhat on a different level, and to be able to see them do what they do best live.
Yes.
Listen, by far the best experience and outer body persona that I could go ahead and say is having to see people from the likes of Sting and Jake the Snake. Now listen, when I saw Jake the Snake, I was like, listen, it's not the 80s where he'd probably come out with Damien in a sack. But listen, it's Jake the Snake. Like, Lord have mercy. Trust me, peeps, I hear what you're saying. But fans, listen, we're glad to go ahead and share it with you. From peeps and from me, this right here is what we share in common. Not only the big golds, but being a fan of this generation of professional wrestling. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end to Saturday afternoon's main event. Of course, we said that we have about maybe 3 more episodes left, I believe. And those are going to be the most memorable ones. So trust me, in 3 weeks, we'll be having our season finale. And then Peace can go ahead and enjoy his 1.5 or 2 week vacation.
Yes.
And then we will get back to it sooner or later. But certainly we will be going ahead and leaving this through after Backlash to go ahead and give you guys, the fans, a good little run out of season 3. But thank you guys for going ahead and tuning in to episode 9. We will certainly be seeing you guys next week, where we can go ahead and cover more news in the world of professional wrestling. So without further ado, on this episode of Saturday afternoon's main event, I, the world's heavyweight champion, Phenomenal One.
And I, the kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing, limousine-riding, jet-flying son of a gun, Peeps Nate, where we saw,
we came,
yes, and in the words of Paul Heyman, we conquered.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we conquered.
Yes.
See you next week for episode 10. Peace, farewell, and from the Phenomenal One and the Peeps Nate. Goodbye.